Get to the chopper! Predator wasn't just an 80s action monster flick. It was a brutal, jungle-forged test of endurance, creativity, and chaos. Behind the hawks and heat adrenaline you saw on screen lay production disasters, monstrous suits, literal jungle warfare, hidden meanings, and studio pressures that almost killed the movie before it even landed. And today, you're going to uncover 20 weird facts about Predator, the kind of revelations that even hardcore fans might never have heard. Let's dive. Fact number 1. What audiences didn't know: the alien hunter known as the Predator was originally supposed to be played by Jean-Claude Van Damme. He wore the suit for a couple of days, imagined a nimble ninja-style creature performing splits and kicks. But the production shut that down fast. The designers and producers decided that the Predator needed to tower, menacing, silent, no flashy martial arts footwork. Van Damme reportedly passed out behind the suit. Temperatures inside the jungle suit were punishing and was labeled a relentless complainer by the star himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger. In short, it wasn't Van Damme's Predator, it was a completely different beast. The change had real consequences: months of redesign, a swap in actor, a shift in tone from agile to monstrous. By the time filming ground on, the Predator suit weighed so heavily and restricted movement so badly that they needed a taller actor to carry it off. That switch changed the film's monster from agile threat to looming terror. Fact number 2. What you didn't realize: the suit worn by Kevin Peter Hall, eventual Predator actor, weighed over 200 pounds, and the invisibility effect was done using chroma key tricks and double takes. The performer wore a bright red suit, so the jungle green and sky blue backgrounds could be keyed out. Then the matte was layered with a second take filmed with a 30% wider lens, so the environment filled in the Predator's silhouette. In other words, not simple green screen, but brutal practical art. Hall had to haul that monstrosity through jungle underbrush, heat, humidity, mud, tree climbs. Every take was a small fight, not just for the characters on screen, but for the actor inside the rig. This designed for effect costume massively raised the physical cost of every production day, and every drop of sweat and frustration shows in the final film. Fact number 3. What went wrong in the jungle? Filming in Mexico's La Selva region near Palenque was brutal. Director John McTiernan broke his wrist falling out of a tree while scouting or filming a take. The cast and crew were constantly knocking out ailing, venomous snakes, extreme heat, unfiltered drinking water, jungle bites. McTiernan said he lost 25 lobbies, the line producer nearly 40. So, it wasn't a comfortable tropical shoot. It was a survival test inside the movie's story. The harsh realities of the location seep into the film. The sweat on Arnold's brow, the drained look in the team's faces, the unrelenting humidity and mud, it's real. And that authenticity came with cost in health, schedule, and morale. Fact number 4. What you missed in the credits: the monster's voice isn't purely mechanical or alien. In fact, the voice was performed by an uncredited actor via studio manipulation and then layered with filters and animal growls. Some sources even suggest the voice of the Predator was recorded by a voiceover artist who later voiced other sci-fi characters. It wasn't just the monster's body making the impact. It was the sound design, painstakingly built. This adds an eerie layer. When the Predator speaks the "what the hell are yous" line back to Dutch, the moment is unsettling not just because of plot, but because you're hearing something alien crafted. That nuance deepens the creature's presence more than you realize. Fact number 5. Studio pressure almost killed the tone. Originally, the spec script for Predator was much more straightforward military thriller. But once production got going, executives pushed to emphasize sci-fi elements, turn it from body count jungle warfare into an alien hunter film. The writers Jim Thomas and John Thomas have said the melding of genres was part accident, part necessity. It wasn't pure jungle war story, it wasn't pure alien invasion. It was a hybrid weirdness, and that blend is what makes Predator still feel fresh. But behind the scenes, it meant constant negotiation. Does the team act like commandos or like sci-fi heroes? Those tensions ripple in the film's shifting tone. Fact number 6. Practical effects over CGI. For the Predator's invisibility and thermal vision, Vision Effects the team used photochemical and optical methods, not digital. They shot plates, swapped lenses, keyed out colors, layered jungle backplates. Cinematographer Peter McAlpine explained the jungle lighting was so inconsistent that your biggest problem is the dense undergrowth. You meter one way and it reads 60, hold it another and it reads 3. It wasn't post-production magic alone. It was sweat, magic lens, real jungle latitudes. Every take had to account for inconsistent light levels, shifting shadows, and lost cameras. That's why some scenes have a raw texture. It wasn't polished, but it was earned. Fact number 7. The cigar smoking ritual. Off-screen, Arnold's cigar habit caught on. Co-star Carl Weathers, who plays Dylan, said, "Being the athlete that I am, never in a million years would I let tobacco touch my lips. But I sat there getting a whiff of this great aroma of this stogie." Arnold eventually said, "Carly, you want one?" "Sure, why not?" It was all over. Within a few days, Arnold had a box of stogies delivered to me. It wasn't method acting. It wasn't character immersion alone. It was a habits battle behind the scenes. This small detail underscores how off-camera habits bleed into on-camera. Characterization. Dylan's tough guy cigar smoke persona was influenced by the actor's own rituals, and that authenticity gives Dylan an edge you might not notice. Fact number 8. Risky stunts, weird constraints. One scene required Dutch, played by Arnold, to leap from a tree into a cascade of mud and water. During that take, McTiernan says Arnold performed with an IV in his arm because he was already queasy from jungle sickness and dehydration. Meanwhile, the Predator actor had to leap across vines and under heavy body armor. Some stuntmen broke legs trying to replicate those leaps. It wasn't safe. It was legitimately dangerous. When you see Dutch crash into the undergrowth or stumble, you're not just seeing movie magic, you're seeing a paid-in-blood investment in visceral realism. Those risks add to the film's tension because even the actors were hanging by a thread. Fact number 9. The film's reported budget was modest, around $15 million, yet its ambition reached blockbuster heights. An alien hunter, elite commandos, jungle warfare, thermal vision effects, full-scale explosions, and a helicopter crash. According to Wikipedia, production constantly walked a tightrope between creative vision and financial limits. It wasn't a big-budget extravaganza. It was lean, focused, and forced to innovate every single day. Because money was tight, the crew cut corners with ingenuity, filming multiple angles in a single setup, reusing pyrotechnics, and shooting only when the light was perfect. The Predator suit had to be re-engineered using cheaper materials after delays drained the budget. Set pieces were often improvised from salvaged parts of other productions. Those limitations ended up giving Predator its gritty, documentary-like realism. The sweat, dirt, and urgency you see on screen weren't just performances. They were survival tactics from a crew fighting the clock in the jungle. Out of constraint came a legend of raw, muscular filmmaking. Fact number 10. Hidden meaning. While on the surface, the film is a jungle survival story, what you're watching is a commentary on modern militarism, spectacle, and the hunter becoming prey. Dutch's team are hyper-trained mercenaries who are utterly unprepared for the alien threat they follow. Call sheets? They drop into exotic geopolitics, they assume dominance. Then the Predator upends everything. What audiences didn't realize, the film inverts hero versus monster tropes. It suggests that the real monster might be us. It wasn't straightforward action fantasy. It was metaphor wrapped in camouflage. And now go ahead and hit like and subscribe because there are 10 more wild facts coming that you won't want to miss. Fact number 11. The deleted Kung Fu Predator sequences. Early on, the Predator suit, Van Damme's version, included backward bent satyr legs, stilts, and long arms intended to give it otherworldly grace. But once the shoot in the jungle began, the designers realized the muddy slopes made stilts impossible. The limbs got snagged in foliage. The actor couldn't move. They scrapped the design, shut down 6 weeks of production, so the creature effects team led by Stan Winston could redesign everything. It wasn't a small tweak, it was a redesign that nearly tanked the schedule. This means several weeks of filmed footage were never used. The film you see is the version that survived a major creature crisis behind the scenes. Fact number 12. The explosion at the finale nearly burnt the set. The Predator's self-destruct device, with that huge mushroom cloud effect, was filmed using a practical pyrotechnic rig. The explosion was calibrated close to the jungle edge. Some crew members later said it ignited foliage farther than planned and triggered emergency protocols. The risk of real fire in a remote location was huge. It wasn't CGI particle, it was real fire, real blast. That explosion anchors the finale in part because the crew themselves nearly had to run for cover. It lends a chilling authenticity to the film's last act. Fact number 13. When Predator hit theaters in 1987, Hollywood action movies were mostly set in gritty cityscapes or Cold War zones, places where the enemy was human, not extraterrestrial. So, flipping the formula and dropping a team of elite soldiers into an alien's hunting ground was a huge creative gamble. The result? A groundbreaking fusion of sci-fi, horror, and military thriller, something audiences had never seen before. It wasn't just another Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle, it was the birth of a pop culture giant. The film's success ignited a vast multimedia franchise, 6 sequels and spin-offs, best-selling comics, crossover novels, and blockbuster video games, all expanding the myth of the predator species, later named the Yautja. That cultural endurance speaks volumes. Beneath the gunfire and explosions hid a deeper idea: humanity as both hunter and prey. Predator didn't just entertain, it rewired how Hollywood blended action and sci-fi, proving that bold risks could spawn timeless monsters. Fact number 14. Tension on Predator didn't stop when cameras cut. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers carried their characters' rivalry off-screen. Weathers was known for maintaining his tough guy aura. He'd arrive to set freshly shaved and would secretly do curls before takes, so his arms looked pumped. Arnold, ever the prankster, teased him constantly and spread rumors that Carl used a makeup team to oil his muscles. One morning, their friendly banter flared into a genuine dispute over a shot's timing. McTiernan kept rolling, and that fiery argument became one of the rawest exchanges in the film. It wasn't just acting, it was ego versus ego caught on camera. Their dynamic added grit and authenticity to Dutch and Dylan's relationship. The visible competition sharpened every glare, every line of dialogue, and every handshake, especially that now legendary arm wrestle greeting scene that defined 80s macho cinema. Fact number 15. That iconic neon blood, the Predator's eerie life force, wasn't a special digital effect. The FX crew cracked open hundreds of glow sticks, mixed the phosphorescent liquid with KY jelly for texture, and applied it directly to props and costumes. Under black light and low exposure, it shimmered like living ectoplasm. The mixture looked great, but it didn't last long. It dried quickly and had to be reapplied between takes. Crew members complained the glow fluid stained their hands for days. It wasn't alien chemistry, it was DIY brilliance under a deadline. That slimy, glowing substance became one of the franchise's signatures, reused in later films and parodies. What began as a desperate on-set hack to solve the alien blood problem turned into an instantly recognizable visual shorthand for Predator mythology. Sometimes the cheapest tricks create cinematic immortality. Fact number 16. In a poetic twist of fate, the Predator actor Kevin Peter Hall also appears at the film's very end as the silent helicopter pilot who rescues Dutch. After weeks buried inside a 200-pound rubber suit, Hall finally got to act without suffocating heat or claustrophobic makeup. Director John McTiernan offered him the cameo as thanks for enduring the grueling shoot. Few realized the symbolic irony. The same man who terrorized Dutch was also the one who saved him. It's a hidden Easter egg that rewards sharp-eyed fans. Hall later said the scene felt liberating, his first chance to breathe free air on camera. It's a small, wordless role, but it brings closure. The monster's performer lifting the hero from the ashes. That brief appearance turned the film's nightmare full circle and honored the man whose performance made the Predator unforgettable. Fact number 17. The famous log trap climax wasn't in the original script. Initially, Dutch merely wounded the predator, who escaped into the jungle. But test screenings revealed audiences needed a decisive showdown, a primal man versus beast moment. McTiernan and his team returned to the jungle weeks later to craft the new ending. Using improvised props, Arnold fought a stunt double in fresh mud, performing most of his own stunts. It wasn't planned closure, it was necessity turned genius. That rewrite gave the movie its most legendary image. Dutch covered in mud, whispering, "Come on, do it!" before the trap drops. The late addition not only solved narrative pacing, it gave the story its mythic resolution. The improvised finale transformed Predator from an action flick into an elemental struggle between human cunning and alien brutality. Fact number 18. While Predator looks like an endless jungle, parts of it were filmed near real Mayan ruins around Palenque, Mexico. The crew had to coordinate with local archaeologists to protect ancient sites from the heavy filming equipment. Camera tracks were limited, explosions restricted, and humidity constantly warped the film stock. The oppressive setting, teeming with insects and wildlife, shaped the movie's atmosphere. It wasn't a Hollywood backlot. It was sacred, hostile terrain. That authenticity bleeds through every frame: the towering trees, the mist-slick stones, the sense of something ancient watching from the shadows. Ironically, a story about a futuristic alien hunter ended up being filmed among remnants of a civilization obsessed with gods and sacrifice. The setting added a layer of mythology no soundstage could ever replicate. Fact number 19. Hidden in plain sight, Predator's final scenes quietly seeded an entire expanded universe. The skull trophies glimpsed on the creature's ship hinted that Earth was just one stop in a long hunting tradition. Fans and comic writers took that idea and ran with it, creating decades of stories exploring predator culture, its rituals, codes of honor, and intergalactic hunts. It wasn't an ending. It was a beginning disguised as ashes. This world-building ripple led to sequels, crossover comics with Alien, and eventually cinematic hybrids like AVP. None of it was in the original plan, but the depth implied by that single trophy room shot inspired generations of creators. What started as a one-off thriller became a cultural mythology spanning media, continents, and centuries. Fact number 20. Kevin Peter Hall's physical toll was immense. Standing over 7 feet tall, he spent months inside a suffocating rubber suit that trapped heat and restricted vision. Crew members recalled having to guide him between takes because he could barely see. Each day in the jungle cost him several pounds of body weight. Though he gave life to one of cinema's greatest monsters, it came at a real price: exhaustion, injuries, and lingering health issues. It wasn't costume acting, it was endurance performance. Hall's dedication helped elevate the Predator from a simple creature design into a character of mythic presence. Tragically, he passed away only a few years later, but his work remains immortalized in every frame of the film. Every roar, every tilt of the head, every deliberate movement, it's all his legacy. Bonus fact: the iconic mud camouflage moment was far from comfortable movie magic. Arnold Schwarzenegger actually spent hours coated in thick, cold mud that dropped his body temperature dangerously low. The crew had to blast him with heat lamps between takes to keep him from shivering uncontrollably. The effect blocking the Predator's thermal vision was inspired by real military evasion techniques researched for the movie. It wasn't a visual trick. It was cold, calculated realism. Schwarzenegger's suffering gave the scene its primal edge. The trembling breath, the slow exhale, the stare through the shadows, all genuine. That authentic chill helped make the final duel one of the most intense sequences in 1980s cinema, fusing myth, realism, and sheer willpower in a single, unforgettable image. Reflecting on the legacy of Predator, the film emerged from physical exhaustion, inventive practical effects, actors stretched to their limits, and a costume that nearly collapsed the shoot. And yet, that rough birth gave it power. Today, we don't watch Predator simply for explosions and catchphrases. We watch it for the texture of fear, the weight of the hunt, the skeleton beneath the action. It remains both a milestone of 80s adrenaline and a foundational piece of creature mythology. If you enjoyed uncovering these behind the scenes shocks and secrets, smash that like button, share this with your squad, and subscribe for more deep dives. Because the jungle of Hollywood hides more beasts than just on screen. Remember, when the chopper lifts off, the predator still hunts.